Welcome to the Explainer. If you're gearing up for that AWS Solutions Architect exam, you know elasticity is a word you hear all the time. Well, today, we're breaking down the service that makes it all happen, AWS Autoscaling. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the why, the problem autoscaling was built to solve. Then we'll get into the nuts and bolts, its core components. After that, we'll look at the different strategies you can use, how to keep your app alive and healthy, and then tie it all together with a cheat sheet to really lock it in for your exam. So first things first, let's really understand the challenge here. This is the fundamental balancing act that every single cloud architect has to deal with, and it's the whole reason autoscaling even exists. You know, it really boils down to this one question. How do you make sure you have just enough server power for your users, especially when you have no idea how many will show up? It's a tough balancing act, because if you get it wrong, there are consequences. And there are really only two ways to get it wrong. You can over-provision, which means you're just lighting money on fire, paying for a bunch of servers that are sitting around doing nothing. Or you under-provision, and when that surprise traffic spike hits, your app slows to a crawl or just crashes. You end up with angry users and lost business. Neither one is a good look. And this is where Amazon EC2 Autoscaling comes into the picture. It's the service that completely automates this balancing act. Its whole job is to make sure you have the perfect number of instances running at all times, automatically adding more when you need them and getting rid of them when you don't. Okay, that sounds great, but how does it actually work? To really get this for the exam, you've got to understand the three fundamental building blocks. Everything else is just built right on top of this foundation. And here they are, the three pillars. Think of it like this. The launch template answers what to launch. The autoscaling group answers where to manage everything. And the scaling policy answers when to scale up or down, what, where, and when. So let's start with the launch template. This is literally the recipe, the blueprint for your EC2 instances. It tells AWS everything it needs to know, what operating system to use, that's the AMI, what size instance, like a T3.micro, security groups, all of it. Every single time a new server is needed, autoscaling looks right at this template. Next up, we have the autoscaling group, or ASG for short. This is the container. It's like a corral where all your instances live. It's a way to treat a whole bunch of servers as one single manageable thing. This is where you set the rules for your fleet. Now, inside that group, there are three numbers you absolutely have to know. Think of the minimum and maximum size as your safety guardrails. Autoscaling will never go below your min or above your max. The desired capacity, well, that's the magic number. It's the number of instances the group is always trying to maintain. And that's the number that your scaling policies are going to adjust automatically. And that brings us to the third piece, which is really the brains of the whole operation, the scaling policy. These are the rules that tell the autoscaling group, hey, it's time to change that desired capacity. It's the trigger, the decision maker, for when to add or remove instances. So we've got our what, our where, and our when. Now let's talk about strategy. AWS gives you a whole playbook of different ways to scale, and for the exam, you need to know which play to call in the right situation. You've basically got three main options. Manual is exactly what it sounds like. You log in and change the number yourself. Scheduled is perfect for predictable traffic. You know, scale up at 9 a.m. on weekdays, scale down at 5 p.m. But the most powerful one, the one that handles the unpredictable nature of the internet, is dynamic scaling. It reacts in real time based on what's actually happening with your application. Now, when we talk about dynamic scaling, there are a couple flavors. The older methods, step and simple scaling, give you really fine-grained control, but honestly, for most scenarios, and for sure for the exam, AWS is pointing everyone towards target tracking. And the idea is so simple. You just pick a metric, like average CPU usage, and tell AWS what you want that number to be, say 50%. See, what's so powerful here is that you're not messing around with setting specific alarms and thresholds. You're just telling autoscaling the outcome you want. You say, keep the average CPU for this fleet at around 50%, and the service does all the hard work behind the scenes to make that happen. It's a game changer.
Okay, this next part is huge, not just for building real applications, but it's a massive topic on the exam. Autoscaling isn't just about performance. It's about making sure your application doesn't die. It's about resilience.
Think of it like this. Autoscaling acts like a doctor on call 24/7 for your servers. It's constantly checking their pulse. And if an instance fails a health check, maybe the server crashes or the application freezes, autoscaling immediately identifies it, terminates that sick instance, and, this is the magic part, launches a brand new, healthy one to take its place. This self-healing is a cornerstone of building highly available systems on AWS. All right, here is a classic exam question. A load on your app drops, and your scaling policy decides it's time to scale in. You've got, say, 10 instances running, but now you only need 8. Which two get the axe? Well, the answer is in something called the termination policy. And by default, AWS has a really logical process. First, it'll try to keep the instances balanced across different data centers. Then, it'll look for the instance using the oldest launch template. And if it's still a tie, it does something really clever. It terminates the instance that's closest to the next billing hour to save you some money. And remember, you can customize this if you need to. Okay, let's bring all this into the real world, because autoscaling almost never works alone. Its real power comes from how it connects and integrates with other AWS services to build a complete system. For your exam, you have to know how these services play together. They're a team. Elastic Load Balancing is the traffic cop, spreading requests across your fleet. CloudWatch is the lookout, providing all the metrics that drive dynamic scaling. And you can use a service like SNS as the messenger to send you a notification every time a scaling event happens. It's this teamwork that makes the system so powerful. So here's another classic exam problem. Imagine your new server spins up, but it needs a few minutes to download the latest code or warm up its caches. If you send traffic to it right away, users will just get errors. How do you solve that? Well, that is exactly what lifecycle hooks are for. They let you hit a pause button on the scaling process to give you time to run your scripts. And check this out. This is how it works. As an instance is launching, the lifecycle hook intercepts it and puts it into this special pending wait state. The server is running, but it's not considered in service set, so the load balancer won't send it any traffic. This gives your script time to do its thing. Once it's done, it signals autoscaling, which then flips the switch to in service, and only then does it start getting real traffic. It's a lifesaver for complex applications. Wow, okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's boil it all down to a super simple cheat sheet, the absolute must-know concepts that you need to nail for your solutions architect exam. All right, this is it. This is your cheat sheet. If you can explain each of these 6 concepts and how they all fit together, you are in fantastic shape. The launch template is your blueprint. The autoscaling group is your container with those min, max, and desired settings. Target tracking is your go-to scaling strategy. Health checks give you that self-healing power. The termination policy decides who gets cut, and lifecycle hooks give you that critical pause button. So the final thought I want to leave you with is this. The exam and being a real architect isn't just about knowing what the tools do. It's about knowing how to combine them to design a system that is resilient, fast, and cost-effective all at the same time. And that is the real art of being a cloud architect.